Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast, and now here's the man who will be podcasting tonight with his pecs, Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Amazing Race RHAP show. Amazing Race 25, Episode 8 is in the books, November 21st, 2014, and I am back here. I'm very excited to talk to Jessica because I feel like it's been a month since I got to see her. Jessica, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Rob. I'm especially great since the show is finally back on.
Yes, we're back. We are back, baby. It took a week off for some crazy awards show where Johnny Depp was drunk and talking, and so we are back here. Amazing Race is now in its stretch run here every Friday now between this week and December 19th.
Our long national nightmare is over.
Our global nightmare is over, Jess, because we are back here to talk about the Amazing Race. The stretch runs. Phil set it up tonight. 4 legs are left.
Yep, just 4. I can't believe we're 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah, Jess, do you notice that I am wearing a special shirt for this occasion?
Yeah, I was missing the plaid.
Yes, I decided that Phil came on the show to support us, and that I got one of the Phil Kogan Warriors in Pink shirts that support breast cancer.
Oh, that is super cool. Awesome.
See this? It takes a real man to pull this off.
Yeah, well, it looks good on you.
Yes.
It's a good color.
Yes, and I don't know to what degree Phil is involved with this charity, but he did the commercials, and I said, all right, well let me support the cause, and I was on CBS.com, so I bought the shirt.
All right, I'm sure CBS.com appreciates it.
Yeah, they got these. Ford is a part of this Warriors in Pink. .com, not an ad in any sort. It's not an affiliate thing or anything like that, but I just wanted to help support the cause, and so it's for breast cancer awareness that they were doing in October. So all right, so Jess, let's just set this all up here tonight. Of course, we went to Malta on the Amazing Race. We're live here on robhasawebsite.com. We got the chat room going also as well on robhasawebsite.com. Hashtag RHAP. Scott St. Pierre is monitoring Twitter, and of course on our YouTube channel at robhasawebsite.com/YouTube. We're going to take your questions all the way through on the show. Make sure you also subscribed on YouTube if you want our Amazing Race recaps every Friday the rest of the way. That includes next week, Jess, Black Friday.
Oh yeah.
Friday after Thanksgiving.
I thought that was like Buy Nothing Day.
Buy Nothing Day.
Yeah, isn't that the thing? Like people are rebelling against the Black Friday thing, and
that's not what I heard. I heard that people were going on Amazon.com and getting great deals.
They're not waiting until Cyber Monday for that?
You could wait till Cyber Monday, but I think you could miss out on all the stuff that's going on the Amazon.com on Black Friday. Not going and sleeping outside of Walmart from like Wednesday.
Yeah, I do all my shopping from the comfort of my couch.
Yeah.
And I go to robhasawebsite.com/Amazon.
Or /AmazonCA for people in Canada. So stay inside. Don't go and avoid all of those mob scenes. Anyway, so we'll don't worry about that right now. Let's concentrate on the Amazing Race right now, Jess. And let's talk about this leg in Malta, which I thought was a pretty fun show tonight.
Yeah, it was full of interesting moments and people screwing up at things, which is always a good sign of a good show.
Lots of screw-ups, lots of innuendo, all the fixins for us here tonight on the Amazing Race 25. Also, as well, we will be live, we will not be live, but I will have my interview with Tim and TJ coming up this Monday on Rob Has a Podcast. So the exit interview is back, and we'll talk with Tim and TJ and talk about what went wrong with them. And Jess, let's start with Tim and TJ, and let's talk about where they were. What was the name of this greased pole stunt?
Did it have a name?
Is it a name? They have to have a name for this sport.
Are we sure that this is a real sport, or is this just something they made up for the show?
It might be something that they made up for the show, but this seemed like there was like a bunch of like broy guys that sit around and do this all day. Like there was shots of other people doing this. They don't just say like hey, why don't we just go out today and go like run on the greased pole and try to grab the flag? They must have a name for it.
Well, I just want to point out that the guy that was shown greasing up the pole actually fell off of the pole himself.
It's hard.
So I'm not sure this is a real thing that anybody can actually do.
That's a hard greased pole.
Yeah, and it's when the pole is greased that much, I think it's preferable just to go and polish your helmet.
Yeah, and you know what? The more it's greased, the harder it is, I think.
That's what I'm told.
Yeah.
That has been true in my experience.
That is a tricky challenge. It was a greasy situation for those teams, and none of the teams were able to successfully do it.
Yeah, this is one of those times when you would want a sticky situation.
Yes, it would be easier if you had a sticky pole to get through it. But no, this it was greasier and it was very hard. And so it was the teams. There was like a little bit of like passive aggressive, like you could get the yellow flag. And then the person that got the yellow flag was like, "Come on, just do it." And the person who got the yellow flag then would just receive like daggers from the eyes of the people that were doing the red flags. Like it was very tricky.
Well, don't you think that the better strategy would be to try to go for the red flag first?
That's what I think the better strategy would be. Both people do it, and it's like, oh my God, Jess, I'm terrible at this. Maybe I could get the yellow flag. You've got to get the red flag.
Yeah, and have whoever goes first be the person you think is going to have to get that red flag.
Yeah, because the person that does it like on the first try and gets the yellow flag, that seems like that person is more likely to be able to, on 5 or 6 times, be able to get the red flag.
Right. It's like those survivor challenges where you have to swim out and get some puzzle pieces and then swim out further and get more puzzle pieces. You want your strongest swimmer on the one that's furthest out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So for Tim and TJ, like I understand that they were struggling, but for me it made no strategic sense for them to give up on, like they were sort of like in a tin cup situation, not a sticky or a greasy situation. I feel like their only play was to get the red flag. And if they were able to get the red flag, they could have potentially beat the wrestlers. But to give up and then what's that?
All of a sudden you put on a like fancy shirt and all of a sudden you're making golf metaphors. Did you like take some yuppie juice or something?
Yes, I did. But right, I mean, did that make sense to you for them to leave the greasy pole to go and try to go polish their helmet?
Their only chance at that point was to get that flag. They're either getting that flag or they're out.
Yeah, and so to go and then be behind Brooke and Robbie, who already had half polished the armor, then it just was, there was no chance they were even going to beat them, despite what the edit did its best to do to make it look like it was close, right?
Yeah, that was not happening. They had to either get that flag or they might as well quit the task because the same outcome was going to happen.
Yeah. So I was bummed out. As much as I really enjoy Brooke and Robbie too, I was bummed out to see Tim and TJ go home here.
Yeah, I especially like anytime a racer professes to be a fan of the podcast, I automatically start rooting for them, and maybe I'm just like a little too prone to appreciating getting my kneecaps sucked, but they're RHAP fans, so I got to support them, and I'm sad to see them out.
Yeah, it is nice. It is nice to get the kneecap sucked.
It is quite nice. Almost as nice as getting your pole greased.
All right, easy. All right, so Jess, let's talk about a couple other of our top stories before we take a little bit more of a deep dive. Express Pass gets used tonight. Adam and Bethany.
Yeah, well, that was a good use of it, I think.
Good use of it. Adam and Bethany, extremely strong.
Yeah, they are, I said it before we even started watching this season. I thought they were going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I have been proven right.
Yes. Very, very, they are a force. I can't fit very, very into that sentence. To be reckoned with.
They are a force to be much reckoned with.
Yes, absolutely. And so, great. Was this the last night that they had to use the Express Pass?
I think it might have been, yeah.
And what about the save?
The save can be used through the next leg, but
Well,
I
why
think it's
isn't there a
not going to get
difference?
used.
Why can the save be used longer than the Express Pass?
I don't make the rules. I don't know.
But shouldn't it be the same thing?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe it is the same thing, and maybe they just saw a point where both of those tasks are going to be hard to do with 3 arms instead of 4.
Because Phil brought up the save at the finish, Matt. Do you think that meant that it was the last night for the save, too?
No, next week is the last night for the save. They definitely said it was up through leg 9.
Okay, leg 9. So, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me, why you'd be able to use the Express Pass to leg 8 and the save until leg 9.
I think it was, yeah, it's possible. I know they said it, and I know I missed it, and I know that makes me a bad recapper, but I think they just saw a point, like they knew their time was running out to use it, and so they just decided to get it over with at this task that was going to be pretty daunting for them to begin with.
No, I'll tell you, between the pole challenge, now, if anybody could have done the greased pole, it was probably Adam and Bethany. But I think that if they decided to go ahead and do the polishing the armor, I think that would have been tough for Bethany.
Yeah, I think it would have. I think Bethany could have gotten. She would definitely have finished it in about half the time.
Yeah, it would have been a struggle, I think, for Bethany. All right, let's just see any other headlines before we get into it. What stood out to you, Jess, in this leg?
I see some kind of forces galvanizing against one particular team that everybody has decided is the big threat, and I thought that was interesting because this has been a pretty lovey race so far.
Yeah. Okay, so which team is that?
The cyclists. Like, everybody seems to be good friends, except everybody is kind of a little bit against Kim and Allie. Who seem super cool, and I don't quite understand what's going on, but something, again, it's like one of those situations with the season 23 Afghanimals. Like, why is everyone so afraid of them?
Well, they're very intimidating, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they're great racers, but they also seem like they're a lot of fun. Like, of all the teams left, if you said, I get to pick one of the teams to go have a beer with, I think it would be them.
Gonna have a beer with one of the teams. That would probably be a very good time. Brooke and Robbie, I think, would probably be a better story.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I think Jim and Misty are probably pretty fun if you get a couple of drinks into them.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a fun group. That's what we've liked this season. The whole cast, for the most part, seems like they're pretty fun.
Yeah, but it surprised me to see all of the teams kind of forming a little alliance against this one other team. That doesn't seem like it's such a fun group that it just kind of shocked me.
Jess, I read today this was the first time the race ever went to Malta.
It is.
Yes, were you excited?
I was very excited. I'm always excited every time they go to a new country.
Yeah, all right, well, here they are, Malta. Can you believe it? It's here.
Well, they're kind of scraping the bottom of the country barrel. I counted like...
How dare you, Jess?
There are about 200 countries in the world. I counted about 30 that it's feasible for them to go to that they haven't been to yet.
Yeah. Okay. So what's on the top of that hit list?
I think... I don't know. I have a spreadsheet somewhere.
All right. Well, just off the top of your head. All right. So let's talk about the tasks tonight. Okay. And so the first thing that we really had to struggle with was carrying the glasses to, what was it, like a Knights of the Round Table or Knights of the Square Table?
They're the Maltese Knights.
The Maltese Knights. A lot about the hot, sexy knights of Malta in this episode. And so
I didn't think they were that sexy, but I don't know, maybe I'm not a good arbiter of such things.
That was the episode title, and once again, Jess, the episode title does provide immunity for Kim and Allie.
Yeah, I think your theory's looking good. People commented in the thread from 2 weeks ago to point out that it has happened a couple of times, but a good 90 to 95% of the time, the team that has the episode quote ends up being there at the end of the leg.
Okay, good. It's a reverse spoiler.
I guess so.
Yeah, safety for the person who says the episode title. All right, so no, this was a roadblock.
Um, the roadblock. This was a route marker. They carrying the
Just a route.
direct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in this task, they had to carry two glasses, and what was in the bottle?
It was some kind of local potent potable. I think it was wine, but I'm not sure. It looked like a cognac bottle, but
Okay. It's very fancy.
it was a fancy bottle.
Okay. Did you like this task?
I love this task. This was really the kind of thing I would like to see a task like this every leg.
Yes. Interesting. Just wondered like how close could you get to the other teams? Like, let's say hypothetically, like me and you, we're on one of the race legs, and I ended up screwing up. I broke the glass. Now we got to run back and go get the other glasses. But here comes Tim and TJ. Could we almost like run straight on into them and make them have to like sort of like we didn't touch them, but like they've got to make like an adjustment and they could potentially drop their glass?
I think you'd have to be pretty subtle about that, or you'd get admonished at the bare minimum.
Hmm. You wouldn't want to get admonished.
No, no.
Yeah. So this was a very challenging task for the teams. One in particular because it was very dark.
Yeah, and I think the teams that have the little headlamp things had a bit of an advantage.
Yeah. And again, those aren't standard issue for the racers.
No, you got to bring your own.
Gonna bring your own. Big rookie mistake if you're not bringing your own headlamp at this point, right?
Right, right. And I think you watch a couple of seasons of the show, you pick up on what you need to be bringing.
Does casting give you a list of like items that they suggest you bring?
No, they give you a list of items you're not allowed to bring, but other than that, you're up to, it's up to you. And teams have brought some really ridiculous things that ended up being totally useless. I don't remember which team this was, and someone's going to dig this up for me. One of the teams brought a pair of rollerblades one season and had to lug them around the world and ended up getting rid of them because they were of absolutely no use.
Yeah. Just, I got so mad when the Knights were so mean to Bethany when she broke the glass.
Well, I don't think they should give her special treatment.
But why do they have to be a-holes?
Because she broke their glasses,
Not for anything. These guys are just sitting on their rears, just waiting for amazing race teams to bring them wine. And, Bethany lugs the wine all the way there, and she just happened to break one of the glasses, and they were so upset.
Well, I think, were they more upset than, like, the palace guard in London who was putting everybody through their drill paces?
Yeah, but at least that guy's an actual drill sergeant.
Well, these are knights. They had
Yeah.
to go through some sort of hazing ritual.
Yeah, and then they made Bethany go on the broom and the dustpan
They made everybody do that.
to go get the glass. It's so mean. So that,
Would you have them have broken glass all over those steps in the dark? That seems like kind of a health hazard.
I don't know. They could have just been like, Bethany, you're going to have to clean that up for us. They're like, get the broom. You go clean it, Bethany. We don't care about your movie.
Well, they would yell at everybody if they could see them, but some people just dropped their glasses much sooner.
Yeah. They were like, what's the meaning of this? How dare you? You dropped our glasses. But all the teams were going through it. Everybody sort of struggled. Amy and Maya, you felt bad for them. Amy seems to be the weak link in this sweet scientist team.
It's true. You can always tell, like, there's usually with Amazing Race teams, there's one team member who's really, really into the show, and they had to think about who in their life they could bring with them on the show. And sometimes it's very obvious which one of them is that person, and Maya is that person, and she found Amy, who works with her in the lab, and Amy was kind of game to go along with it, but she's really not quite as excited, but I don't think anybody's quite as excited as Maya is to be there.
Yeah, I mean, they are headed in like drastic different directions, almost becoming like a Chuck and Winona at this point. That, I mean, especially, like, you know what? It really calls attention to it when they get to the mat and Maya is like running laps around, like, I love life, I love the Amazing Race, this is great, like running around in circles, and Amy's, I can't run. I'm not running anymore. Like I can run in the race, I'm not running, but I'm not running anymore.
Yeah, well, didn't you say that she'd kind of over-prepared for the season, like started working out a lot and ended up straining her leg because she was working out too hard?
I don't know, but Maya's just got to tone it down a notch. It's making Amy look bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, it's almost like, I'm trying to think of which cartoon character it is exactly who's that manic, and all I'm thinking of is Scrappy Doo, but that seems kind of insulting.
That she's Scrappy Doo?
Yes.
I could see it. I could see it. What Scrappy Doo wants to like fight everybody. Like, all right, hold him back, hold him back.
He wants to do like a victory lap every time they do anything good. And
yeah, I've never seen that victory lap before.
yeah, no, I haven't either.
Yeah. Has she been doing it on the other legs?
They haven't shown it.
They haven't called attention to it. Yeah.
No, I think she was just excited to finish that far ahead because they were pretty far in the back of the pack at the beginning of the leg, and they made up a lot of time.
Yeah. I thought this was very interesting in the episode when Brooke and Robbie, who can seemingly never get a taxi, Kim and Allie were in a taxi, and the wrestlers were like, call us a taxi, and then they went ahead and they complied with it, and they said, okay, let's call them a taxi. They're like, no, really do it though, don't just say like, fine, we're really calling you a taxi. And then afterwards they're like, why did we cut them a taxi? We don't even like them. And they're like, cancel their taxi.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did follow the letter of the law. They said they were going to call a taxi, and they did call a taxi. They weren't lying.
Do you think that the taxi company complies with that order?
Why not?
I don't know. We didn't see it play out on the show, though.
No, honestly, you should never rely on another team to handle your taxi business.
That's fair. Put that in the jail rules.
That's in the jail rules.
Yeah. But it seemed like the taxi did come and get them, right?
Yeah, well, eventually, but didn't they have to go in another business and have like a bartender call a taxi for them?
Yeah, maybe. Either way, the taxi tonight was not the ultimate undoing of Brooke and Robbie. Let's talk about repelling. Boy, so this is the repelling roadblock. Of course, Bethany is going to do this roadblock, right?
And of course, Bethany is going to crush it.
She's so good.
She's such an inspiration.
Yeah, I might vote for Bethany for president at this point.
Yeah, I think she's definitely, like, if we had Miss Amazing Race, she'd win in a landslide.
She'd win in a landslide. And I didn't want to like her.
No, but it's like one of those things, you think that a team, every season it happens. The team that triumphs over adversity, I'm like, oh God, here we go again. Yeah, life is tough for them, and they have to learn how to do things, and it's much harder for them than other people, but they persevere and they do well. And I never want to like these teams, and I always do.
Yeah, like Dave and Connor last season. Like, they came in, and they were cancer survivors, and they had the whole...
And Dave was old.
Dave ACL. But then Dave got, like, nasty in the middle of the race, and then, they weren't so easy to root for the whole way through, like the first time they were on The Amazing Race. Adam and Bethany have not given you one thing in 8 episodes that has made it hard to root for them.
It's true.
And we were waiting.
Yeah, you think they're going to slip up, or you think they're going to annoy you even. But they haven't
given one person the side eye. They haven't said one, like, derogatory remark on anybody. Like, they've barely even frowned through 8 legs of The Amazing Race.
Yeah, they are. I'm feeling good about my winner pick.
Yeah. Boy, it really would be, and it would be the kind of thing where did win the season that people would say, oh, this season was fixed for them and stuff like that. And you can't even make that point.
No, there's a lot of places where there's no possible way that it could have been fixed for them.
Yeah, I mean she's doing puzzles with her feet. Did you? She's rappelling with one arm, and then even the other teams when she was swimming, and like she's holding the clue in her mouth while she's swimming. Brooke is like she's the Terminator.
Yeah, her feet are moving like boat propellers.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, it's incredible. It's incredible. All right, so anything jump out at you as far as rappelling goes?
Um, no, it looked like it was one of those, like, some repelling tasks just involve, like, you know, how fast you'll let yourself fall before you catch yourself. And other ones, this looked like it took a fair amount of upper body strength to get down there.
Yeah, it definitely did. And there was a lot of like rooting for the other teams back and forth. Jess, maybe it's just me, but like I feel like there's a lot of like the Amazing Racers like referring to each other as Babe a lot, and I feel like I'm hearing a lot of "Love You, Bae" from people.
Yeah, well, that's always been my favorite marker of, like, the arguing team is the team that calls each other babe all the time.
Yeah, but I feel like they're all doing it. I feel like there's
Yeah.
so much Babe going on.
Well, I think they all watched a lot of seasons of the show, and you kind of absorb that over time. If you watch a lot of episodes of Amazing Race back to back,
Yeah.
you watch a lot of episodes back to back, all that jump out at you is everybody calling each other babe.
Babe, 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 babe.
Yeah.
Love you, babe.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
It happens. Jess, were you impressed with how blue the water was?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Very
It
nice.
looked like a really fun place to be, and I kind of sympathized with Misty saying that she wishes she could stay longer and really appreciate it.
Is Malta on your vacation bucket list?
The Mediterranean is definitely a place I want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Malta in particular. It looked very beautiful, and it's pretty reasonably priced.
Whoa. Okay. All right, so we'll have to see if Jess ever gets out to Malta. All right, so let's talk about the blind detour. First off, tell me, do you like the idea of a blind detour?
I love any opportunity The Amazing Race has to make people use their brains a little bit extra. Like
Yeah.
anytime they give you a clue with a picture of something instead of like written directions, or anytime that you have to kind of do a little bit of blind guessing, I love that. So
Yeah.
bring it on. Bring more of that. Like just, next time, don't even do that. Just call them A and B and don't even tell them anything. Like A, go here, B, go here. Good luck.
Yeah, Jess, could you just explain how the blind detour worked?
They got one word. They got either the flags or the armor.
And it was was it an arrow that pointed a certain way?
Yeah, well, the written clue just said if you want to do flags, you go here, and if you want to do armor, you go here, and that was all it said.
Shine, flag or shine, I believe.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Flag or shine. And there was a little sign there, which there usually is for the detours, especially if the detours are kind of in close proximity. You can see a sign that says pointing to one and signs pointing to the other.
Yeah. All right. So most of the teams ended up at flag first.
Yeah. And to be fair, like if that's all you get, that seems like the one to go for.
Yeah, you would go with flag. And
Because
so,
what's hard about a flag?
well, how about if it's at the end of a greased pole?
There you go.
Yeah. And so all of the teams ended up at least trying this, right? Except for Adam and Bethany.
Yep, Adam and Bethany immediately went straight for shine.
Yeah. And, Kim and Allie, it looked like they were just going to beast it. They first, who got the yellow flag first? Was it Kim or Allie?
It was Allie who got the yellow flag.
Yeah. And then Kim sort of had like a little bit of a, meltdown that she was trying it, and then she was talking about her fear of heights, and eventually they had to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, and she even said, why did we have the person with the heights issue have to go the furthest out onto the very high pole?
It's a fair point. Jess, at what point should teams like give this a shot and then just get out of there? Should they do it like once and say, this is hard, just get out of here?
I'd give it for something like this, I'd give it 2 or 3 tries, and if you're getting a little bit better by the third try, then you might want to keep at it, but if you're doing exactly as badly on every try, get the hell out of there as fast as possible.
For the record, I would never be, if I had my entire life, I would never be able to get to the red flag.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
Like, if you had me at gunpoint and told me go get the red flag, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, I think there must have been some rule that said you couldn't shimmy up the pole.
Yes.
Like, you had to run up it.
Well, we've seen that a lot on Survivor in terms of, like, when they have these balance beam challenges that you see people, like, trying to, like, straddle the greased pole. And,
yeah, well, you yourself were in one such challenge.
Yes, I did. I had to straddle the pole myself, and it was very taxing.
Yeah, that does not look fun.
Yeah, luckily it was not a greased pole.
No, that was just a regular balance beam. It wasn't even at a slant.
It was just a regular pole, regular log that I had to straddle.
Yep.
To get across, but we did it. But we were like 2 by 2. We had like somebody, like you had another guy strapped to you while you were straddling the pole.
Yeah, and I remember, I think it was Daniel Liu who was like had to like grab the pole with his arms and legs and like, basically lie on top of it to get to the end of it.
Yes, Dan and Ryan. That's true.
Yep.
Survivor of the Amazon. All right, so the teams were going back and forth. A couple teams gave it a real shot. Amy and Maya, Amy is like, I'm not doing this.
And I think that was smart.
That was smart. She got out of there.
It's better than running at it for 15 minutes and then deciding you can't do it.
Yeah. Jim and Misty, they seemed like they totally misunderstood the blind detour.
Yeah, well, I think what happened to Jim and Misty was they didn't even see the clue box.
Yeah.
Like they saw people at a detour and they're like, oh, that must be the next thing we go to, and then they didn't see what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah. How about Tim and TJ happen to do the speed bump from last week? Of course, they had the non-elimination leg, and then they had to go do the speed bump. Seemed like that didn't slow them down too much. Did you like that as a speed bump?
I thought it was kind of ironic that their speed bump was the very thing that slowed them down on the last leg.
Painting?
Yep.
Yeah.
But it also looked like, their shields were kind of a hot mess, let's be real. And speed bumps, they're never very picky. Like, I don't think anybody's ever been rejected from a speed bump.
I thought this was really odd so Brooke and Robbie were the only team that ended up at the polishing station first. They had to polish each other off, and Brooke and Robbie were the only team that ended up there first, and they were doing that. And I really enjoy Brooke and Robbie, but Brooke tends to always be complaining about it, no matter what the task is.
Yeah, it's every single task is the worst thing ever.
Yeah, and she's always really into the grass is always greener. Whatever task they're doing, they think they should be doing the other one.
Yeah, and the other one is usually not even that good. She's just like, I can't do this. This is all terrible. I hate all of this.
Yeah, I didn't think that polishing each other off was that bad.
No, it was something that looked like one of those tasks that's going to take a fixed amount of time.
Yeah, it seemed crazy to me that they would leave that and go do the other one that everybody else is leaving to come there.
Yeah, this is kind of similar to what we saw in Morocco with that goat butter making task. You knew about how long that was going to take, and you knew about how far you'd gone, and you didn't know how far the other task was.
Yeah. And I thought that maybe Brooke and Robbie might have felt like, okay, well, we're wrestlers. This is like walking out on the top rope or something like that. Maybe we'll be able to do it. But they both got out there like, oh, yeah, forget it. This is terrible.
Is walking on the top rope something that wrestlers do?
I've seen them do it. I've seen wrestlers do it.
I know they get up like on top of it and
the turnbuckle.
Yes.
Yes. I feel like somebody's done that.
Yeah, I don't know. Boxers don't do that.
It's done that. It was Tim and TJ were really the only team that really tried to go ahead and give it a real try until ultimately they ended up giving up too soon in my mind.
Yeah, I think they really weren't giving anything a fair shot.
Yeah, and so they end up trying to polish each other off then. and they're trying to polish each other off faster than Brooke and Robbie. I was laughing when Robbie decided to suck some kneecaps of the judges.
Well, that's Robbie's modus operandi there. Like, we've seen him do it. We saw him do it in Denmark, and that's just kind of how he is.
Was that the right call to compliment them on their tans?
I'm not sure that's the tack I would have taken, but it seemed to work.
Yeah. Anyway, so it set up an interesting point where it was going to be, it looked like that Tim and TJ were behind, but they had the cab ready to go. They put their bags in the cab. Did Brooke and Robbie screw this up by not leaving their bags in a cab waiting?
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, we've seen that happen before.
But isn't that race 101, Jess?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Is that why Brooke and Robbie, you would think out of anybody, they have the most trouble with cabs, that they would have this down of when they go to a task, leave your bags in a cab so you don't have to go search for a new one.
Well, I think Brooke and Robbie are having... I think Brooke and Robbie's big problem is they're not learning from their mistake.
Yeah. Do you think, are they drawing dead? Can they win the Amazing Race?
Anybody could win the Amazing Race at this point. I think any of the teams that are left have a real shot at it. I would say Brooke and Robbie probably... I would say they have maybe the fourth worst shot at it, but...
And then Amy Meyer fifth?
Yeah, Amy and Meyer are the dark horses here.
Okay. Rank Adam, Bethany, dentists, and Kim and Allie, 1, 2, and 3 for me.
I go dentists, Kim and Allie. No, dentists, Adam, Bethany, Kim and Allie, because everybody's gunning for Kim and Allie, and that could definitely be a handicap for them.
If it's Kim and Allie, Adam and Bethany, dentists, top 3 teams, is that an extremely satisfying final 3 for you?
Absolutely. That would be an epic final 3. That would be so much fun to watch.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. All right, so we end up with getting a couple of interesting arrivals at the mat. What'd you think of this guy that was with Phil with the bird?
We need to talk about the bird's hat.
Sure.
Because that was pretty epic. Like, that bird's ready to go into battle.
Maltese Falcon.
Indeed.
Yeah. So some interesting arrivals at the mat. What about Phil asking the guy, like, so, do these two look tough to you?
And that's the first time I've ever seen one of the greeters kind of insult the teams. We've seen task judges do it, but I think this is really the first time that a greeter has thrown some serious shade at a team.
Yeah, he's like, do they look tough to you? And he's like, no, they're not tough. They're not tough. Phil's like, come on, show your muscles.
And you're like, yeah, you could hang out with me a little bit more, you'll get tougher.
Yeah, and then Phil, what about when Brooke and Robbie show up? And this was, I thought, an incredibly odd and odd request that Phil had made of Robbie there at the mat, right?
Yeah, that was a little bit strange.
That seems strange. And if we didn't know Phil better, I would say a little bit of a pervy request on Phil's part.
Yeah, but, you know, if Phil makes a pervy request of me, I'm going to do it right away.
Whoa, Jess! Oh my God. So Phil asked Robbie about, he wanted to know what place Brooke and Robbie thought they were in, but he had a certain way he wanted Robbie to give that information to him.
Why don't you just tell me with your pecs?
Why don't you just tell me with your pecs? Is that appropriate in the workplace?
I don't know. Phil has gotten really up close and personal with everybody this season. Like, he makes these little asides to the greeters, and he's like standing there watching them. It's almost like all of a sudden he's woken up to the fact that, you know, he's a real part of this race, and he's kind of overstepping his boundaries a little bit.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Phil is either going for like clips on the soup every week, or he realizes that we have the ability to pull sound clips on Robin's podcast. One or the other.
Well, you know how much the Amazing Race benefited from the RHAP bump when we interviewed Phil, so you know, don't put it past him. He realizes that as the more quotable he is, the more we're going to talk about him.
Yeah.
Why don't you just tell me with your pecs?
Why don't you just tell me with your pecs? All right. And then finally, we had Tim and TJ make it to the mat. And Phil was very congratulatory to Tim and TJ.
Yeah, well, Phil is never... He's not Jeff Probst. He's not going to be like, wow, you guys really sucked.
Yeah.
Like, the worst he's going to say is, I guess that was a really hard day for you guys, and I think you must have learned a lot. Like, that's as negative as Phil ever gets. He's a very supportive guy.
He never gives the, got nothing for you, get the hell out of here.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like, what is wrong with you? Why are you always landing on the mat in last place?
Yeah. All right, well, let's segue into taking questions from you guys. Also, I just had one other clip that I pulled from the episode tonight. Thought this was from Brooks' many attempts at going through the greased pole.
Oh my god, I just broke my butt.
This is the first time that someone has injured their butt this season.
Yeah, well, you know what? If there was ever a way that somebody was gonna break their butt, it would be with a greased pole. Actually, I have a friend who's a proctologist. That's the #1 way to break your butt.
Yeah, what a way to go, man.
I just broke my butt.
Yeah. So that's true. That's true. All right, let's get into taking some questions. All right, Jess?
All right.
All right. And if there's any numerical questions, you have to answer only using your pecs.
I don't think anybody wants that.
All right. Let's take a question from Doreen. Says, wrestlers need to stay positive. The negative self-talk is hurting their game. #RHAP. Well, we've talked about sort of the meta game of the Amazing Race. And, sort of like being positive is a big part of it. But they really are such Debbie Downers sometimes.
Yeah, and it's just like they don't give themselves any credit. And there's one thing when you go into a task and you say, this is really hard, and I'm having a rough time with this, and I need you to be supportive. And then there's, this is impossible, I can't do this, this is terrible, why aren't we doing the other thing, this is awful.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the Rachel Riley method.
I'm telling you, they probably carry this attitude into their wrestling matches, thinking they're going to lose sometimes.
Is this why I've never heard of them?
Probably. Sometimes they probably think they're going to lose before they even get in the ring, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it would almost be like someone had written a script for them that stipulated they were already going to lose before they even got out there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Let's go to Kristinal 3106. The wrestlers are awful. They're bullies by making fun of Amy when her leg is hurt, and Brooke is the whiniest B word that I've ever seen in my life. What is the appeal of these people? Well, I think that's a little hard for the wrestlers.
Someone hasn't been watching recent seasons, because if the wrestlers are the worst people on this season, they'd be the best people on just about any other season that's been airing in the last couple of years.
Yeah, they are certainly they are negative Nancy's, but they've been fun.
Yeah, and Robbie especially. Like, I feel like Robbie's attitude makes up for Brooks.
And not for anything, they're pretty harmless. Has anything that they've done to any other team actually slowed anybody down?
No, they're pretty ineffectual as villains.
Yeah, so they've only hurt themselves.
They were making fun of Amy and Maya when they were behind Amy and Maya.
Yeah, so I think the Brooke and Robbie are very fun. I don't think that they're going to win, but they're good TV. All right,
yeah.
Let's take another question. Joe Palago wants to know, I genuinely like all the remaining Amazing Race teams, but who do you think makes for less compelling TV with no villain team to root against? So are we saying that who is the worst TV of the 5 teams? Because I think there's a clear answer.
I think what he's saying is, do we think that we're not enjoying the season because we don't have anybody to hate?
Are you not enjoying the season?
I'm loving the season.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to have a team that the other racers consider villains than a team that we kind of hate for no reason.
Yeah. I think they got it right this season. Just give us teams that are likable. And
yeah,
we don't
and they don't all have to like each other, but we have to like all of them.
we don't need to have a team that we hate. As long as we have teams that are easy to root for. The problem is when we hate all the teams. That's where you have the problem.
That is the worst, is when we hate all the teams.
Yeah, like it's fine if we like all the teams and hate one of them, or if we just like all the teams. Either one is fine. The problem is when we hate all the teams. That's where it's no good. So this is fine. This is fine.
Yeah, this is totally fine. And they don't all
Our
have
life
to get
is fine.
along.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fine. I like to see, Jim and Misty, who I like, and the cyclists who I like. They don't necessarily like each other. That's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Itzavels. Andrew wants to say, I was embarrassed to hear not a single team know what or where Malta is. That's where my parents are from. What did you think of that?
Well, there's a
Andrew's
town.
parents are from Malta.
I've never known anybody from Malta, at least not Malta the country. There's
Andrew's
a small
parents.
town in Montana named Malta, so I have known where Malta the country is for most of my life.
Yes. So Malta, Montana.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, it's like, oh, there's also a country called that. Where's that? Let me go look. And then I knew, and I was 5, so I knew where it was.
Okay. So were you outraged tonight?
I'm never outraged at people's geography fails, because it's kind of part and parcel with the show. But it is kind of exasperating when every team fails to understand that they're going to a country named Malta.
Yes. Okay.
At least know it's a country,
Sean E. wants to say, the dentist realized that they were missing a clue and peeked at the cyclist one. Was that better than Reed? Okay. Well, we'll leave the Reed part out of it. So let's talk about that move to look at the other team's clue, Jess. What'd you think of that?
I think it's not against the rules. And you guys talked about this on your Survivor recaps this week. If it's not against the rules, you shouldn't not do it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm with Stephen Fishbach on this one because, someone else is going to do that thing.
Yeah. So it's all good sportsmanship. If you're not cheating, you're not trying, right?
Right. Or if you're not, going right up to that line,
yes.
then you're not doing everything you could be doing.
Yeah. If you're not breaking your butt trying to do everything you can, then you're not trying.
Oh my god, I just broke my butt.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a question from Nick2S. The great Nick2S wants to know, did the Maltese Falcon bit at the pit stop solidify the idea of a memory animal challenge will be done in the final leg? Jess, what do you think about the memory animal challenge at this point?
I think the memory animal challenge is going to involve a horse, and it's going to be a dead one, and it's going to involve beating it.
Yeah. I would have to agree with you at this point. I feel like at best, I think we could say that the memory animal challenge is a case of
fan fiction. I'm like a storyteller. That's what I do.
yeah, right?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I think at this point, we're officially chalking up the memory challenge animal final leg to a major case of the fan fiction.
Yeah, it is. It is a Jonathan Penner-worthy case of fan fiction.
Yeah. All right. So JJ Rules 07. Should there be a twist for a team that comes in first, like an Amazing Race version of Exile Island? How would that work? You want to send a team to a pit stop in the next leg?
Yeah, or give
isn't that a
team
U-turn?
speed bump.
Yeah.
I think it is kind of like a U-turn.
Do you like that idea?
I don't really. I think every leg should be at least a semi-reset, if not a full reset.
Yeah. I think that, that's getting a little too cute.
Yeah, it's a little bit too cute. Although there is one thing that I would really love to see that we've seen in Amazing Race Australia, which is at the beginning of the leg, instead of the first team that gets to the U-turn gets to choose the U-turn, they've had it where I think they did it with a yield. You could certainly do it with a U-turn, where all of the teams at the beginning of the leg vote for which team they think should have the speed bump or the U-turn, and then that team, whoever gets the most votes, that team has to do it.
Ooh. And you like that?
I like that. I think it's awesome.
You have to have a good social game.
Yeah. And it
Okay.
gives you a little bit of that survivor strategy without totally changing the nature of the game.
Okay. Let's take another question. This one is from Nick Towns. Wants to know, at what point do you just switch detours when the only other team is limping and switching and you can have a head start on them, or when another team comes over and after a few attempts just goes back? Poor Tim and TJ.
Yeah, that was a really bad tactical error.
Yes. Yeah. Not good. You gotta you gotta finish the course.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
You gotta, rage against the dying of the light.
Yeah. All right. Megan Ainsworth wants to say, can they switch armor if one teammate is a faster polisher? If one person is faster at polishing the other one off, could they switch?
I think you were stuck wearing that armor until you were done with the challenge.
Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think you're allowed to switch.
Although I wonder what would happen if you decided you were going to go do the other task. You took your armor off, you ran over and you looked at the other task, you ran back, and then you put each other's armor on. I wonder if they would call you on that.
Yeah, I don't think is it like by size, or is it a one size fits all on the armor?
I know that in the past when they have had racers have to put on like a full suit of armor, they've had custom armor.
Custom
Like
armor?
season 11, they had a task where everybody had to put on a suit of armor. And Charla and Myrna got to that task, and Charla did the roadblock and had her own custom suit of armor.
But I think in a Charlotte and Myrna season, I think that might be a little bit more the case.
Yeah, and I think when you have like tasks where you have to suit up in something, they give you something in your size.
Yes.
So I would guess that a team like, for example, Brooke and Robbie probably couldn't get away with putting each other's armor on.
Yeah. Charla in the Tyrion Lannister suit of armor.
Exactly.
Yes. Let's go to Samantha Mann, who says, I started out rooting for the cyclist, but Kim is really starting to annoy. She seems to constantly belittle Allie for the slightest infraction. Time to chill, girl. What do you think? Is Kim being too hard on Allie?
I get a little bit of a Brooke and Claire vibe from them.
Ooh.
Because they're very snarky. They're kind of running their own race, and Brooke was always kind of yelling at Claire to keep up. And Claire was doing the best she could. And I could definitely see, of all of the people left in this race, if you were saying that one of them was going to take a watermelon to the face in the next leg, I would guess it would be Allie.
Oh, my God. We can only be so lucky. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Not that we want to see Allie get hit with a watermelon, but we want to see anybody on the Amazing Race get hit with a watermelon.
That's always the hope.
That's always the hope. Jackson Kruger wants to say, if Bethany's the Terminator, who is the T-1000?
Kim.
Kim. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. This would be a fantastic Amazing Race spinoff.
Indeed.
Yeah. I think the Terminator lost an arm at one point too, right?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got caught in the little machine thing, and that's how they found it and made the cyborgs.
Yeah. Let's go to Luke Dorian. And Luke wants to say, is it possible for the Sweet Scientists to win, like Josh and Brent? This season's starting to seem like season 21, with the cyclists being Ryan and Abby, and the wrestlers being the Twinnies. I don't know about this, Jess. What do you think about this theory?
Well, I think there was some measure of, in season 21, you had Ryan and Abby against the world, but Ryan and Abby had an ally, and it was Ryan and Abby and the Beekman boys against the world. And this is just Kim and Allie against the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see the parallels. I don't think it's an exact parallel.
Okay. A few more questions. JJ Rules wants to say, did College Sweetheart pull a Fran and Barry moment when they missed the speed bump? Jess, was this a Fran and Barry moment in your mind?
This was not as egregious as Fran and Barry, but it was pretty close, because the only reason I spotted the clue box from the camera pan by it was because the speed bump thing was much bigger and it was right there.
Okay. Let's go to Ryan Costa. I think that Brooke and Robbie's chances are good. They're underrated.
That's not a question.
It's a statement. It's a statement.
It's a statement.
Yes. Jess, I was going to ask you for the power rankings for Brooke and Robbie, but I wanted you to...
Why don't you just tell me with your picks?
We already said they're 4. We already said they're 4. Okay. Nick Town says, do Rob and Jess realize the RHAP community is using the phrase greased pole as a drinking game? I had no idea.
I can't condone that. I don't want anybody going to the hospital tonight.
Yeah. Please be very careful with our talk of the greased pole.
Those who appreciate quality enjoy it responsibly.
Yeah, you don't need a drinking game. We want you to enjoy, like Jess, just enjoy your wine responsibly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you drinking tonight?
No, I'm drinking water. We went out for dinner. I was like 15 minutes late getting home to watch the show because we went out to dinner.
Okay. Would you catch up on the DVR commercials?
Yep, I finished exactly the same time everybody else did.
Okay, good. But your live tweet game was off then.
It was a little bit off, but I feel like my tweets were kind of evergreen tonight.
Yeah. What'd you have? Anything good?
Nothing great. I'm a little bit slow with the one-liners. Maybe it's the wine. I don't know.
Maybe. Did you have any Maltese cuisine to get you in the right mood?
I don't even know what they eat in Malta.
Yeah. I don't know. That like milkshakes, right?
Yeah, malted milkshakes.
Malt balls, yeah. JJ rules. Okay. Do we have any other questions, Scott? Let me know if we've got another one. Otherwise, we'll start to bring this baby home. All right, here we go. This is from Nick 2S. Does Brooke realize she is more bark than bite?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of Brooke. I think she talks a lot, and I think if she's
a wrestler.
Less, yeah, I guess that's what wrestlers do, right?
All right, okay, it's a match between Brooke and Kim. Who you got?
I think Kim is scrappy.
Yeah.
I think I would pick Kim.
You take Kim. Okay. JJ Rules wants to know, why didn't Soul Surfers multitask with sweeping at the same time as balancing the glasses? Well, how could they sweep at the same time they're balancing glasses?
They're not allowed to. If they drop the glasses, they have to go back and get the broom and sweep things up and put the broom back and get more glasses and go back.
Yeah.
That was pretty explicit in the rules.
Can't sweep and get glasses at the same time.
Nope.
Okay. Nick Towns, what's the bigger hashtag rookie mistake? Not bringing a headlamp on The Amazing Race or leaving the hidden immunity idol rules in your bag around camp and Survivor? I don't think that for the record, I don't think leaving the hidden immunity idol clue in your bag is a rookie mistake.
I don't think so. But I would probably have burned the hidden immunity idol clue. I think
sure,
that
but
was
I don't know if that's necessarily like Survivor 101.
No, it's not Survivor 101, but I don't think bring a headlamp is necessarily Amazing Race 101. It's something that smart people do, but I'm sure people have won the race without it.
Yeah, you guys as the Amazing Race fans know a lot more than most of the people that are on the show. Stuff that's easy for you guys is not necessarily something that's obvious to some of these teams that go on the race without a lot of experience.
Well, this season I think almost everybody has seen the show at least a little bit.
Yeah. You can't say the same about Survivor.
No, you can't say this. Although I think Survivor people this season seem pretty on the ball as well.
Okay. All right. Let's do one last question. This is from Alex G, who says, could the teams have crawled up the flagpole on their stomachs using their hands, or did they have to walk up it? We think they had to walk up it.
Yeah, and I think also you had to have momentum to get up to the top of that pole. The second you stopped on that greasy thing, you were not holding on to it.
Yes. Yeah. You need if you're gonna attempt the greasy pole, you need momentum.
Yeah.
That's right. All right.
True on the race and true in life.
That's true. And yeah, and it's a good way to break your butt. That's the one thing we learned tonight.
Nobody wants a broken
butt.
Yeah. All right. So, Jess, okay, we mentioned it earlier. Yeah, Black Friday is around the corner. Check out the Amazon.com countdown to Black Friday deals week. Do you know how many great deals there are? Do you want to know?
11 billion.
Why don't you just tell me with your pecs?
Yes. All right. So now I'll tell you with my pecs. We don't have enough time. But anyway, yeah, if you want to check out some Amazon deals this weekend while you're listening to podcasts or doing whatever, getting that turkey ready if you're in the U.S., you can go to robhasawebsite.com/Amazon or robhasawebsite.com/AmazonCA for those of you guys who are in Canada watching the show. It's a great way to, one, save some money, and two, help support all of the podcasts that we do on Rob Has a Podcast. All right, Jess. Next week it'll be the day after Thanksgiving. Will you have like a will you have like a tryptophan hangover next Friday night?
I think I'm probably gonna have a pie hangover.
A pie hangover. What's your favorite pie for?
Well,
for
I'm in charge of the pies for our Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
I've been on dessert duty, and I'm doing a pumpkin cheesecake and a chocolate bourbon pecan pie. And there's only 5 people at Thanksgiving, so
Oh
I'm
wow.
gonna eat the rest of the pie.
What's that? A pumpkin cheesecake, and what's the second one?
Chocolate pecan bourbon.
Chocolate pecan bourbon. That's a pie?
It's a pie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think
You can come over.
that's better than what we're having.
Oh, are you just having pumpkin and apple?
Oh, I don't even think I'm getting an apple pie.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. I think I'm getting a store-bought pumpkin pie.
Womp womp.
Yeah. And Nicole asked me, "Do you want me to make you a pumpkin pie?" But I don't know. I don't know if I trust her.
Yeah, does she bake?
Not really.
Yeah.
I believe she was Shake in the original Shake and Bake. Our original podcasting nickname. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how. I'll let you know how it goes next Friday night. All right, we will be back Friday night, 9:15 p.m. next week, episode number 9. We'll see if the save comes into play. As always, we'd love to hear your comments as well on robhasawebsite.com on the show page. Jess, do you have a hashtag for tonight?
That's a good question. Hashtag broken butt.
Broken butt? Do we want to? Do people want to use the hashtag broken butt? I feel like that maybe people might be intimidated to type that on their Twitter.
Would you rather have everybody?
My butt.
Yeah.
Would you rather have everybody use count with your pecs
Or greased pole.
or grease pole?
All right,
Polish your helmet?
broken butt it is. So use the hashtag broken butt. Let Jess and I know if you made it to the end of the podcast. I'm at Rob Cesternino. Jess is at Haymaker Hattie. Thanks so much to you guys who joined us live, and also those of you guys who listened in the archives. We really appreciate it. Having a lot of fun this season talking about the race. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye.